Nothing quite like getting down there to the boat ramp and trying to have a good time, but this crew I think is doing it on a whole different level. I mean, maybe a higher level? I mean, I guess it worked, but the more you look at the images in the picture, the worse it gets. Welcome back, crew, to this week's episode of Boneheaded Boaters of the Week. This crew winds up getting it launched, but the trailer's no longer attached. The boat's holding on by a line. Man, it is a wild scene. These boys here are not playing around down at the ramp. I mean, as bad as their launch went, some launches go worse. I mean, at least the good news is there was nobody on it when it happened, and it appears that it's still floating, so they should be all good. I mean, some retrievals are just as bad. Now, of course, it's not just us weekend warriors heading out there that have issues when we try and come into the dock. Even the pros on occasion will have a little trouble coming in. Now, for whatever reason, it's not always the pros' fault. Such as in this situation here, where it appears the vessel is having mechanical failure, but there are several things of note here. One, look at how calm the crew was after they hit the first dock. Two, it's apparent that they're gonna hit the next dock. Crew still stays calm and just hangs out in the bow waiting for it to come, which is absolutely wild, but don't worry, the dock will get them stopped in the end. Now, some boaters, when they're out there in the water, maybe they don't know how to stop or they just can't figure it out, and for whatever reason, they'll just keep going when they're in positions where they should have stopped. Or maybe the exact opposite. Maybe this crew just couldn't figure out how to get the bimini top down, and they wanted a little sun and figured this was the easiest way to get it down. Now, things don't always go the easy way. Like this, you figure should be done on one or two tries, but for whatever reason, this crew has a little difficulty getting this bottle to break. Finally, in the end, somebody does step in and give him a hand, but he takes many cracks at it before it ever winds up coming to fruition. Now let me know in the comments below how many attempts you think it would take you to try and get this bottle to crack. Again, our guy's gone at it several times, and here finally somebody's had enough. They're like, bro, this is how it's done, but watch till the end, this gets great. He knocks the server's glasses over and gets her drenched. We've talked about this many times. When the weekend warriors are bound and determined to go out because the weekend is hit, it doesn't matter what happens, they're going out there and they are hitting the water, kind of like our crew showing us here, who's doing it basically on one tire. Now, I have no clue what happened to the second tire, but I can tell you this much, it's not even on the rim anymore, so it's seen the end of its lifespan wherever it is sitting on the side of the road.
Good morning, BG. Well, what do we have? We've got a sailboat on a mooring, but that mooring is no longer attached to the block. Now the sailboat is just dragging the mooring around. Not bad. It'll go ashore very shortly.
And in fact, they sent me the video later. It absolutely did wind up ashore, having to get pulled off by a towboat company. And speaking of going ashore, my man winds up ashore with this one as well, after he decides he's gonna go off a ski jump with it, flips the ski, and it winds up taking on water and having to get pulled over by the boys in blue. Now, it looks like this crew tried the same thing our last guy did, but just wasn't as successful. Now, of course, somebody else who's pretty good at going over things is going to be the old pontoon boys. Those boys always get out there and find a way to find themselves into some sort of trouble. And, of course, the old jet ski boys are pretty good at it as well. The Sporkle Rocket guys can find themselves in trouble also. This one's a wild one though. The entire motor actually came off the stern of this vessel. Now, I've never been this kind of tuna fishing, but somebody's got to let me know in the comments why you would get in the water like this. I do know how this guy winds up in the water probably. He probably just had a little bit too much fun with his girlfriend back over at the restaurant and decided they were going to get a little wet. So apparently this boat is down steering and down a motor, yet they're figuring out a way to get her done, using a stick to try and steer the boat as they go down the canal. Now, you always got to keep a close eye at the boat ramp because one thing I can guarantee is something's going to happen every single time you're down there. Now, do you think they actually slid off the trailer on this one, or do you think one of the bunks possibly broke, causing the vessel to roll off the side? Let me know in the comments. Yes, drag slicks and the boat ramp are not a good combination. As I mentioned earlier, you gotta keep a close eye because you never know what you're gonna see at the boat ramp, but of course, some people will make a little more of an announcement that things are going on, like this guy here where they're just spinning tires and making noise.
There's now Red Deer Highway. What are you on a trailer? On a trailer. On a trailer.
Now, while this crew's rolling down the highway triple stacked, our next crew, they found themselves in a whole different situation, and they really wish this boat was on the trailer. Now, I always get confused a little bit on these ones as to why they didn't put it on the trailer before the storm came. Now, they're not the only boat sitting here in this marina, so there are several others down here, but it just makes you wonder, was this an insurance claim? But obviously, some of the other boats have made it through. This one's just not having the same luck. Now, our next guy, I can't really call a boneheaded boater, but I thought it was interesting because he's one of the first crews I've actually seen pull this off. The amount of videos I've been sent of people overloading horsepower on the back of a small tinny is crazy. But typically, it never works. It almost always fails because there's too much weight on the stern. They can't get it to wide open throttle unless they throw weight in the front. Yet somehow, our guys found a way to slap a Merc 300 on the back of this boat and appears to be able to get it up to speed somehow without the thing flipping over, without the transom going underwater, which is just wild. But I'm wondering if he's got weight up in the front of the boat as well, trying to keep it down. But here we see the old sparkle rocket go flying by him, and he decides he's going to keep up with it. But still, pretty wild scene to see. Once again, first time I've seen somebody actually successfully pull that off. And speaking of successfully pulling something off, I don't know that I've ever seen this one either. At least nobody's ever sent me a video of somebody surfing it this way. Is this the lazy man's way of surfing? They don't want to stand up? Or maybe it's just a better way to keep the balance and keep yourself balanced, but I don't know. We'll see if our guy can hold on to it. It looks like he's probably going down though. Speaking of going down, I sure hope somebody called some sort of authorities on this crew. Let's just launch 50 balloons right over the water. Not a very good idea. Thanks for watching, crew. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Boneheaded Boaters of the Week. If you ever see anything crazy happening on your waterways, be sure to hit us up on Facebook or Instagram at Broncos Guru and let us know, and you might see your stories over here. Just like Adam Coolidge, Texas Lineman 87, Wrenching Realtor, Red River Vibing, Chris's Corner, and Rhett Nelson did this week. And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and drop an anchor on the subscribe button here.